Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today we're back on John's 66 Belvedere, finishing up the collision repair from the work that we've done on this car so far. Let's just watch the show intro and I'll see you in 30 seconds. I'm Mike, and all of this is my car's shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is my car's shop.
So our objective today is to try to pull that trunk floor extension over into position and then to finish up the window channel on the back that we had been working on last time we were working on this car. So we're just going to get right into it and get after it and get it done, because that's what we do around here. We just don't waste time talking at all. We never waste time talking. We're not the kind of people that just keep talking when we're told to shut up. We shut up when we're told to shut up. So we're going to try to just hook onto this where the gas tank filler neck comes through, and maybe hook it over here to the trunk latch and just see if we can pull this over at all. We've got a thing that might just accomplish that. We don't know. I should have had this ready, but I didn't. Good. So that pulled right over up there. Let's make sure it's not moving the outside of the quarter panel too much. So I wasn't watching that. Okay, so we've got it released. Let's pull it back in again. Not much, a little bit. Good. So what I'll do, I watched this and it did pull in the wheel lip, but it actually made it straight. So that's really good. So we're going to tack weld this here, and then we'll see about what has to happen to get the back in. We may not be able to get the back in. It's kind of caught and trapped in here. I may need to do a little cutting. I'm not sure. But we can definitely get it tacked up there first. There's obviously supposed to be an L piece in there, but the way I see they did the other side was pretty much the same way. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of replicate what was done on the other side for consistency. Once this is shot down with some trunk floor stuff and covered up with a carpet, it'll be fine. Again, we're not trying to go for Concours Perfect. It's not a restoration. Being a pot liquor. Doesn't want to release. Okay, apparently that's going to be there forever now. So I think our best case scenario here is going to be to just put a strap piece underneath and fill that in, weld it to the trunk and then to the trunk extension. We'll just tack it along there. It should look fine. A little bit of seam sealer over it and it'll look golden. I pulled it as far as I could. I got it tacked in a couple places, but it's just not cut right. And it's just not in the right position. So with the trunk 4 being too far forward, as I said, and then this piece being cut a little bit too shy. This is normal for using used parts for collision repair that weren't cut out of the car properly. It's a good piece, so there's nothing wrong with doing this, but if you want it factory perfect, this isn't going to work for you. But this is going to look fine. It's going to look very respectable when we're done. The fill piece is flowing in nicely, but the problem is when you're by yourself, you don't have enough hands to do everything. So I need to figure out a way to get underneath, probably with the floor jack and a block of wood, and put pressure up to bring that up flush to the edge of the trunk pan so that I can finish welding it, and then I'll be able to go ahead and weld it on to the other side. But I got to get it welded into the trunk pan first. So I think probably a piece of 2x4 and the floor jack, I can press that up where it needs to be, and then we should be able to tack it the rest of the way to the floor pan. There's where we're at. The strip is in. I've got it tack welded all along. A little grinding and some seam sealer and it'll be golden. So now I need to just do the part back here. Lather, rinse, repeat, as we always say here around the shop. I've got my piece cut and hammered out and dollied and so forth to fit in here. And the beautiful thing about this one is I can actually reach it from right through that gas tank filler neck hole, so I can tack it in place and start bending it up and around where it needs to be to weld it in. So we're going to go ahead and get started and get it done. So there is where we are right now. Little patch to put right back there in the back. And that's going to pretty well do it for this. Things back there aren't exactly right, but I think we'll just put a little patch over that and it should be fine. And just like that, it's all done. We just gotta finish it up. A little grinding and some seam sealer, and we're gonna be golden. So I'm working on the piece to go in here, and I think I'm gonna do, well, I'm not sure. I may do a cut and butt. I'm definitely gonna have to do a butt weld, but I've gotta figure out exactly where I want my bend here. The line that I have is off just a little bit. And my pencil is down here. There we go. So let's see, this actually should be more up here like this. So I think the first thing we'll do is take this over to the metal brake and get it bent, and then see what we need to do to start cutting it in and fitting it in and so forth. It's pretty shallow down here, and my one temptation, and I still may, was to actually just weld this in and then peen it around in place, but I think I can get it flatter in here if I bend it in the brake. So I think that's the direction we'll go. I'll be right back. Don't go away. So we got her cut, and it's obviously way too big, so it'll be perfect. We got to trim a goodly sum out of down here. So I think we'll just go ahead and do that right now with the snips. And see what we can do to make that fit down there a little bit better. A lot of this is just instinct and experience. I could make a template, but on little pieces like this, I found it's just as easy to just go ahead and do it. In my earlier days, I made a template for everything, and as I've gotten older with more treachery and so forth, I don't make as many templates as I used to. Bigger pieces I definitely do. You've seen me make plenty of templates, but little bitty pieces like this, especially when we get the opportunity to prick ourselves in the finger. I know, wear gloves, right? Yeah, we're getting there now. It's starting to fit in. I'm going to take it over to the grinder now and just grind that a little bit in there, just to the bench grinder, so that it kind of follows that contour. Be right back. So I've got this cut to it fits really tight, really nicely right there. Little teeny bit of trimming to do over here, and a little bit of trimming to do along the bottom, but we're getting really close now for that being able to fit in there. See if I can zoom in. But you can see how nicely that's fitting in there now. It's out a little bit on this edge because this edge here is just a little bit wide, so I'm going to take that off next. Still just a bit wide there, so we'll take a little more. There we go. Most excellent. Now the only thing holding me up is down at the bottom down here. It's fitting in there so good, I'm having a heck of a time getting it out. This edge right here. And I think I'm going to go ahead and trim this up a little bit to kind of match that. See if we can do that. I'd like it to fit right down in there against that if possible. So I'll get you around where you can see better what's going on. So I'm just matching this contour right here along there, and you can see we're getting close, but it's sticking up just a little high here. It looks like to me I've got just a little teeny bit right down there in the middle. I wish I had my pencil so I could point for you. I don't know what I did with it. You probably know what I did with it. Anyway, right down in there. So I'll take that little bump out of there. I think I'm going to do that on the grinder where I have a little bit more control. Let's see how we're doing now. Yeah, we're getting close. Everything's lining up pretty good. It's just a little bit too tall, so I just literally need to take a slice off of there to match that. So I'll do that with the snips. And we're talking just a very small amount. Every fabricator has the way they like to do things. They have the tools they like to use. These are my least favorite snips as far as red, green, and yellow. But they're the ones I found because my other ones are in a box somewhere. The problem when you're bouncing around between projects, it's easy to misplace things. Okay, so we're getting there. It's still long, so I'm going to go ahead and shave it a little bit more. Get a little more aggressively shave it this time, I think. Then we'll go dress this up on the grinding wheel and take another 1/16 off. It'll just take off these burrs because there's a little bit right there I can't quite get with the nip. Gloves because it's warm. Yeah, it's really falling into place nicely now. So you can see down along that bottom edge, hopefully you can. Yeah, you can. Right down here, it's following the contour perfectly. Our corner edge is lining up good, and the bend just needs to be ever so slightly more. It also needs to be sharper than what my brake is going to do, so I'll show you how we'll fix that. Easiest way I know to fix that is just put it in a vise, and this is going to accomplish two things. It's going to sharpen it up, and it's also going to bend it just a bit more. Notice I'm not hitting it flat. I'm coming across it like this, so I'm trying not to put big dents in it. That way the blow is angled and it's not hitting the metal and stretching the metal a lot. So I think we've crisped that up quite a bit. We need to crisp it up just a bit more on this edge over here. Can't emphasize that enough, how easy it is to hit that flat and then you put big stretch marks in the metal here. There's some, but when your blow is at a bit of an angle, it really helps take that away. We're either a genius or an idiot. It's a very fine line. Okay, as I suspected was going to happen, we've crisped that edge up, which I think it matches pretty good. This edge needs to be taken down just ever so slightly more. I just need to dig in here. I'm going to get in your way, but I got to dig in here to see where. I think that's going to do it. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That fits nicely, so we can start to tag that down in there now. Okay, time to tack. This is going to be so tacky. Looking pretty good. You'll notice I was getting pretty aggressive in the welding, more than I normally would, but I knew I wasn't going to have much of an issue with warpage here because of several things. The seam here, the being on the edge, so like I said, I wasn't that worried about it. I did run into some contamination over here because of lead. The lead wasn't completely gone. So I'm going to grind this down with a soft grinding wheel or a grinding disc, I should say, and then we'll go back over it again. But we're getting really close here. This is looking really good. Looking good. I got to come in here and touch up weld a little bit and a little bit right there. A couple little pinholes to fill over here. So we're almost to the point now of coming over here and rebuilding this corner. Yeah, you can see that right down there in the very bottom of your screen. Right here. But I want to finish this up first. So I only tacked about every 1/4 inch. I need to go through and fill in between all of that. Plus there's a couple of spots where it burnt through. But it's getting there. I'm happy with the way this is turning out so far. We're getting there. This is going to have tiger hair over it because we're not putting lead back in it. So that'll be fine. I'm not worried about that. I just got all the high spots knocked down. Everything's welded solid. I may put a couple more tacks in there. I think I got everything filled here now, so we got to go back over it with the grinder. I got a couple little spots here I want to grind down, and then we can take a look at the other corner and decide how we're going to build this up. I think I already know what I'm going to do. It's just going to be a very small piece of metal in there. One note, I normally use 20 gauge metal for what I'm doing, but because of how messed up this was from using this used panel, I'm going to go ahead probably, I'm not going to go ahead. I did use 18 gauge. That gives me a lot more material to grind against in situations like this where I know I'm going to have a lot of grinding and fitting to do. But our edge here looks good. We'll skim coat that over nicely and sand that out once this is all ground down, and it's going to look good. And that's what she looks like. Very good. Little skim coat of tiger hair, sand it down, all the little rough spots will go away, and we will be golden. So now this corner. That's our next step, and I think we're going to be pretty well done with this. At least what I need to do. So I just spent some time trimming up that little piece to fill in right there. So we're going to go ahead and get that welded in place and tapped in and so forth, and a little grinding and a little teeny hole above that to fill, and we should be good to go. So we're getting very close to the completion of my part of this project, I think. At least I think so. I don't think I'm missing anything. We'll find out tonight. John's going to stop by again, and we're going to try to mud up a little of this stuff and make it look a little better. There we go. Whole corner is rebuilt. There's some body schutz that goes down in there anyway. Sealer stuff, so we're good there. It'll look nice. We get a little tiger hair and some sanding and some fill priming on that. Again, this was a factory lead line here, so we're just going to do that with fiberglass. I thought about just making a whole metal patch to go over here. It's a lot of work, and I'll probably dolly that up just a little bit from underneath, but it'll look fine. So I went ahead and put a rough coat of tiger hair over that area, got some down in here, mixed it up, etc., etc. There's plenty of other places on the channel where I have done this work, and I'll be doing it again, so I didn't go into depth with you on it. But the main thing right now with tiger hair is just to get a good solid base coat before you put the Bondo on it. That just is a stronger material, so if there's any flex, it's not likely to crack. So we'll get that dried. That's the way I mixed it, was very thin so that it won't be too brittle. I mean, it's thin as far as putting how much hardener I put in. So that's going to take a while to dry. But then it will be a little bit more flexible. So the more hardener you put in, the more likely the tiger hair is to crack. So this is technically not tiger hair. Tiger hair is a brand. This is Bondo hair. Any of these long strand reinforced fiberglass products are fine as long as they're a brand name. Evercoat, I can't remember who makes tiger hair. This is the Bondo brand. I prefer Evercoat products, but this is what I had. I think I ordered this during the pandemic because I needed some for the 47 when I was doing the front fender. So if you want to see detailed work on fiberglass, Bondo, priming, sanding, blocking, painting, that's all on the 47 series, probably around episode 17 forward from there, maybe. I don't know, I'm just guessing. So anyway, we're going to let this dry and come out here and block this out. Sanded down the first layer of tiger hair and just applied a small layer to fill the pits. We'll sand that out one more time. It's going to be close enough. Then we'll run a skim coat of Bondo, probably from, I probably actually need to take some more of this paint back, but from over in here across. Now understand it's a skim coat, which means that by the time we sand it down, it's going to be very thin. The bulk of the thickness is right in here where the factory solder joint would have been. So we don't really have much mud in here, even though it appears like it. And I just want to emphasize that to do body work properly, it's almost impossible not to use mud. Your goal is to obviously do your metal work well enough that you minimize how much you use, but I've been doing body work, working in hot rod shops and custom car shops and paint shops for a long time, and the one thing you learn is Bondo done properly is not a problem. When Bondo is not done properly, that's where the problem is. So I know years ago, it's a long story, and but there was waves down the side of a car, and a guy was saying, "Oh, look at that Bondo bucket." And I said, actually, there's probably not much Bondo in that car. They didn't spend enough time filling and blocking to get things smooth. So just because something is waved doesn't mean it's Bondo, although that's the assumption by people who don't understand how to do body work. If you happen to have one of these cheese graters, they're really nice to use. Save some wear and tear on your sandpaper. Just helps get things roughed in flat. Now that we're getting things smoothed out, I'm finding a high spot right in here. We're going to go ahead and peen that down. Well, that's our stopping point for today on this project. Probably back at it tomorrow again to get it finished up, so you'll probably see more on the next one going around. But that's going to do it for today. As I've said before, you get to spend a day with me in the shop, and where we finish at the end of the day is where we're done. So thanks for being here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, well, you know all that stuff. Just please help us out. Smash, like, all that. We'd appreciate it. We're on Facebook and Instagram, /mycarshop. And I think there's something else we're supposed to say here at the end. Seems like it. Oh, I know what it is. Rock!